Church notices.
Hot and raunchy.
Strippers and topless.
Book your Christmas function. Phone Neil.
Wild times ahead for Father Neil and the Holy Rollers of Cairns. Welcome to the last Media Watch of the year, when we review the best of the worst of 2002 and award the mighty Barra. A special mention first for the contribution to free speech of the Cairns Post. You'll remember that disgruntled reader Brian Law stood on the steps of the Post and handed out this barbed pamphlet.
The Cairns Post.
5 principles of service.
1. We uphold the right to be racist, bigoted and intolerant towards people who are different from ourselves. We will present this to you as a local cultural standard.
The Post called the cops. The unhappy reader was charged and thrown in the slammer. None of the charges stuck. When Brian Law then complained to the Press Council, the editor of the Cairns Post put up this embarrassing defence.
The Post feels very strongly that Mr. Law's continual attempts to intimidate and harass this newspaper with the aim of restricting the publication of opinions contrary to his own sets a very dangerous precedent for a free society.
To which Brian Law responded,
How exactly does one poor, marginal person intimidate a Murdoch newspaper? I mean, I was only handing out pamphlets. What's the matter? Can't they take a joke?
No, Brian, they can't. Nor can they take criticism. We hope we can at Media Watch, so we contacted about 30 of the presenters, journalists and editors we've had a go at on the show this year and asked,
Have we, in your opinion, been fair and reasonable in what we've said about you and others? And do you believe Media Watch serves a useful purpose?
Alan Jones only had time to write that he didn't have time to write.
I'm in receipt of your letter. I simply don't have time to respond to your invitation. I'm dictating this response from Bourke, where I'm broadcasting, and won't be back in town until late Thursday.
But Alan told us what he thought on air.
Alan, you are, as we say in the trade, a liar. Good. Well, that's your opinion. You stick to it. Pat, we'll just keep doing what we do. It's obviously upsetting a few people in the taxpayer-funded ABC. Long may they continue to be upset.
It's very political, isn't it?
Oh, we don't worry about it, mate. Long may they continue to be upset. What a miserable life they must have. How'd you like the job? Here at Media Watch, we actively monitor your work. Oh, good luck to you. Keep listening.
Oh, we will, Alan, we will. And we'll keep on your tail about your mystery stake in Sydney's radio stations 2GB and 2CH. By now, we should all know the terms of reference of the ABA's inquiry into that matter, but last Friday night, 2GB sought an injunction to prevent the public knowing what the ABA's inquiry will even be about. Anything to hide? John Laws wouldn't answer Media Watch's questions either, but the old trooper turned it into theatre.
I got a letter from Media Watch this morning.
Who?
Media Watch.
No, I never see it. I'm in bed.
I have never seen Media Watch in my life, but people tell me about it.
I'm in bed.
And they sent me this very courteous letter saying they were doing their last program and would I like to comment on whether they'd been fair and reasonable in their criticism of me and others.
Doing their last program?
Well, last program for the year. But I mean, fancy asking me.
Only October.
I know, but they work for the ABC.
Other Media Watch figures of interest, like the Herald Sun's Andrew Bolt, took our invitation seriously.
Thanks for your inquiry. In the fond and foolish hope that you really do wish to hear my opinion about Media Watch, here it is.
Andrew's reply ranged from particular grievances about his own treatment at our hands to this challenge for 2003.
Give us something new next year. Tackle the left for a change. Challenge the groupthink, the tired political agendas, the dated assumptions, the refusal to contemplate awkward facts. Start offending the mainstream media pack and not the outsiders.
Andrew, we reckon we've upset people across a pretty wide front this year. You can read Bolt's full and closely argued response on our website, along with all the other responses we did receive, like this one from Michael Gawenda at The Age.
Media Watch has annoyed me at times, but then there are times when I'm sure The Age has annoyed and disappointed a fair number of our readers. It's in the nature of what we do that we sometimes get things wrong and that we sometimes are unfair, or worse, agenda-driven in our treatment of issues and people. In that sense, Media Watch is no exception.
We had a go at Gawenda earlier this year for rejecting this now famous loonig.
Auschwitz, 1942.
Work brings freedom.
Israel, 2002.
War brings peace.
Gawenda thought it wasn't right for the age, but it's now been acquired by the Museum of Australia. One day they'll move A Current Affair to the museum too, but while it's still going strong, executive producer David Hurley is happy to take criticism on the chin.
If we dish it out, as we do, we ought to be prepared to cop it occasionally, as we do.
His main complaint about us is the cuts we take of his show to put to air.
All too frequently, you've broken the very rules you vow to uphold, particularly through your selective choice and editing of sequences of material which you then employ as a rod with which to beat us and others.
Of course, we reckon we cut to the chase, but it's true, editing is everything on television, and no one knows that better than Dave Hurley. We always hear from him when we have a query about A Current Affair, but we've never been able to raise Melvin Mansell of the Adelaide Advertiser before. But here he is at last.
Media Watch has certainly achieved a high level of consistency in its blatant bias against any media outside of the ABC and the Fairfax press. Not surprising, given the presenter is a journalist with the Sydney Morning Herald. How does that strike a blow for integrity?
Not very with the Herald right now, Melbourne. I'm on leave, as we say in the credits, every week. Actually, unpaid leave. These days, I work for the ABC, and if you have some dirt to dish on either Fairfax or the ABC, send it our way. Don't hesitate. Judge us if we don't follow through. Fred Hilmer, CEO of Fairfax, isn't always an easy man to understand, but it seems he's not completely thrilled with Media Watch either.
With respect to your attention to our publications, it comes with the territory. On occasion, the subject matter you choose, given the challenges of our time and the responsibilities we bear, is trivial to your mission of being a yardstick of our performance.
Lobbyists have been unhappy about Media Watch too, particularly Colin Rubinstein, who we caught making a misleading attack on a documentary critical of Ariel Sharon. Rubinstein's complaint about us at the time was rejected by the ABC. So what does he think of us now?
Through selectively reporting, distorting and omitting facts and information, we believe you have breached the ABC Code of Practice. You have allowed your program to become a vehicle to pursue ideological and personal vendettas.
Nothing ideological about Dr. Rubinstein's work. He's a professional lobbyist for the Australia, Israel and Jewish Affairs Council. He's promised to keep complaining. Janet Albrechtsen complained loud and long about us to her readers.
As gatekeeper of acceptable opinion, Media Watch resorts to reprehensible means to shut down debate and smear the reputations of those with opinions it dislikes. It is a parody of upholding journalistic standards.
Janet put a new word into the lexicon this year, to Albrecht, to lift and twist somebody else's words to support your own argument.
Pack rape of white girls is an initiation rite of passage for a small section of young male Muslim youth, said Jean-Jacques Racial, a psychotherapist at Vitaneuse University.
But he didn't say that. Janet took most of those words from the Times, but she added white and Muslim. They are not Racial's words or his argument, as he angrily confirmed.
May I ask you to make it known that I strongly disassociate myself from the remarks attributed to me which are the opposite of my views.
Outrageous Albrechting like this should be a capital offence, but we still see her face in The Australian. Editor Michael Stutchbury has refused to explain, then or now. At least the editor of The Telly found something to say.
Media Watch 2002 was fatally flawed from the moment it was saddled with a host whose own astounding conflict of interest automatically destroyed the credibility of any judgment he could pass on the ethics and standards of others in the media. Campbell Reid.
But Campbell, even if I were a secret agent for the dark side, what are you going to do about the failings we've highlighted in your paper? In June, we caught your reporter, Matt Sun, pinching paragraphs for a story on the New South Wales Police. You then sent him to London as the Telly's Cadet of the Year. In July, we caught the Telly pinching material from The Guardian for its guide to the World Cup. Not just stuff about the players, some of it wrong, but trivia about waterfalls and beer.
Milwaukee is the only city in the world that brews more beer than Dortmund.
This was plagiarism on an industrial scale, but were there any consequences at the telly when we exposed it? You responded by sending us that ugly little barramundi which inspired the Campbell Reed Perpetual Trophy for the brazen recycling of other people's work. And it's time now to make the inaugural award. Campbell has the naming rights, but not the prize. Certainly the popular choice in our website poll was Lawsy for this discourse on justice set to music.
I'm often surprised at how restrained most judges are when passing sentence. They deliver lectures that are less harsh than those my old headmaster gave us when we were caught sneaking a smoke in the boys' lavatory at school.
Lawsy has been playing that piece for so long he'd forgotten it was written by Mike Royko of the Chicago Tribune. He apologised to his listeners, but he doesn't win because we take finding fresh talent very seriously here at Media Watch. Our choice was clear. The futurist with the crazy photographic memory, the columnist for Fairfax's BRW who thought no one would notice a little cut and paste from Fast Company magazine. Her June column was 36% Fast Company. Her July column was 57% filched from the same source. In August, she overreached herself and lifted 70% of her column straight from the American magazine. It took BRW 3 months to twig, then they fired her. Of course, we're speaking of Rosemary Herseg, inaugural winner of the Campbell Reed Perpetual Trophy. The original Barra was fed to our cat, but Rosemary will receive this handsome replica. It's a bonus for her. She'd already found a bright side to her sacking.
At least now I won't have to look at that hideous mugshot of myself in BRW.
The Campbell Reed is now a very useful fridge magnet with all our contact details on it. Just send us a stamped self-addressed envelope to ABC Media Watch, GPO Box 9994 Sydney, and a magnet is on its way to you. Let's keep in touch. The best stories on Media Watch this year have come from our viewers. Thank you for the fun we've had in 2002. Stay vigilant over summer. Keep an eye on our website and check out our broadband classics. We'll be back in February. Until next year, good night.